So far away, Lucas, what is your favourite action movie from the 80s?
Oh, from the 80s. I thought we were just going to be talking about action movies in general. From the 80s, probably Terminator 2.
Well, that's from the 90s.
No, wait, is that 90s?
Yeah, it is. You know what, audience at home? What's your favourite 80s action movie? Give us a proper answer instead of the bad one that we just did.
I don't know.
It's Christmas, you can steal City Hall!
Fans of Die Hard, often stylised as Die Hard, depending on how much you watch Friends, I suppose.
Dude, you didn't say Die Hard. Is everything okay?
Largely agree that the series kind of died after the fourth one, when John McClane killed a helicopter with a car.
I thought he was like a motorbike and he just like flung a motorbike at a helicopter.
I'm pretty sure it's Leon Kennedy who does that in one of those CGI Resident Evil movies.
Catch!
Also, doesn't like Captain America do that at some point as well? Like that Captain America movie.
He does, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of movies where people just throw vehicles at people.
Well, and helicopters.
And helicopters. Well, do you remember when like Captain America arm kills a helicopter?
Oh, that? God, that's one of the greatest Marvel moments, right?
Did you ever hear about that as well, where originally, like, Chris Evans was supposed to be wearing his jacket in that scene, and then when he was, like, getting a pump on before the scene, they saw his arms and went, "You're not fucking wearing that jacket." It's like, why would we have you wear that jacket? Anyway.
Yeah, didn't they have to, shoot a new scene where they got rid of the jacket?
Supposedly, yeah, that's the
yeah.
story behind the scenes anyway, but we're not talking about Captain America's arms, even though I'd really like to. We're talking about Die Hard. And while, yes, Die Hard 4 is around the time the series jumped the shark, we very almost had a scene that was just as stupid in Die Hard 3, which would have, if it made it into the film, showed John McClane killing the final boss with a rocket launcher at point blank range. So, Lucas, you're not too familiar with the Die Hard franchise, are you?
Not overly, no. Like, I have seen the first one, and for some reason, the fourth one.
That is a hell of a
I don't want
sandwich.
to get into it.
That is a hell of a sandwich you've got going on there, Lucas. Well, in the third one, it relates to the first one in the sense that the villain of the third one is the brother of the villain in the first one. So Simon Gruber is the brother of Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman. And it has...
Simon?
Well, yeah, he's called Simon, and then throughout that movie, the way that John McClane is toyed with by Simon Gruber is they play a game of Simon Says.
I want to play a game.
What kind of game?
Simon Says.
And throughout the movie, Simon Gruber manages to get John McClane and the rest of the police force distracted by continually sending them on wild goose chases that revolve around riddles so that he can go and rob Fort Knox.
On the fountain there should be 2 jugs. Do you see them? A 5-gallon and a 3-gallon. Fill one of the jugs with exactly 4 gallons of water and place it on the scale.
And I have to correct myself here, Lucas, because I know the comments will. I don't think it's Fort Knox. I think it's the Central Reserve.
$140 billion. 10 times what's in Kentucky. Fort Knox. Ha! It's for tourists.
Right, okay.
I just said Fort Knox because in my head when I think big building full of gold, I think Fort Knox, but I think it's the Central Reserve in New York. And they have a great moment where Samuel L. Jackson's character just finds a gold brick on the floor, and throughout the rest of the movie, he's just carrying that gold brick. And John McClane's like...
heavy.
Yeah, it is. It's real fucking heavy. And that's what the things they do is like, he's carrying it around. And there's a great bit where they steal someone's car, and Sam Jackson's like, that guy's gonna be so pissed that you stole his car. He's like, yeah, when he looks on the back seat of the one we just left, he'll be fine. Like, oh, fuck, that was my gold brick!
Hey, who's the 21st president?
Don't fuck yourself!
That guy was pissed.
I feel better when he looks in the back seat.
Shit, that was my gold bar.
That is one of those trilogies where I always heard that, like, the entire trilogy is good.
The trilogy is great, yes. And we've talked about Die Hard on our sister channel, Wiki Weekends. Specifically, we talk about whether or not Die Hard can be considered to be a Christmas movie, and the fact that I don't get why it's an argument, because everyone's in agreement that it either is or they don't care.
Pretty much our comment section was entirely those two opinions, yes.
I've never met a single person who angrily insists that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I've only ever heard about them on the internet. So folks at home, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie? And specifically I want to hear from people if they vehemently disagree with the fact it is. Because everyone I've spoken to about this either says, well, yeah, it's a Christmas movie, it takes place at Christmas, or, well, I guess I don't care enough to argue about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, because I'm like, well, yeah, I get that technically it is, but it doesn't feel very Christmassy to me, so I don't class it as, like, a Christmassy movie.
Yeah, and if anything, the second one is more Christmassy, because it also takes place around Christmas time, it's snowy, and it is a very relatable Christmas, like, plot. That being, just you're stuck in a fucking airport, and you can't move, because everything's delayed or cancelled.
But for police officer John McClane, when I'm right, it's just another Christmas.
You're the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It was very funny recently. I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were talking about like the airport on Christmas, and they were like, "So the airport's shut on Christmas Day." I was like, "There are people in the world that don't stop everything for Christmas. You know that, right?"
Like, Tesco opens on Christmas Day. Of course, the fucking airport does, but. In regards to this rocket launcher assassination, this scene was actually filmed and was supposed to be the ending to Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. In it, John McClane travels to Eastern Europe to track down Simon Gruber, and he finds him in a bar in Eastern Europe that looks suspiciously like a cheap movie set.
Gotta watch that drinking during the day. Bad for your health.
Would you care to join me?
No, I quit.
And over the course of this scene, several details about the ending of the film are revealed. For example, in this version of the movie, Simon Gruber got away with the gold.
They're not gonna find any fucking gold on that boat, though, are they? Nah. No, they're not gonna find any gold on that boat, because there never was any gold on that boat, was there? We figured you drove it north.
All the billions of dollars worth of it. He also left behind every single member of his team to face the music.
You fucked everybody, didn't you? Yeah. Me, the feds, your terrorist friends, your girlfriend. You're a bad motherfucker.
So every single member of his team got left behind, and he just fucked off with all of the gold. It's also revealed that John McClane got fired from the NYPD, and he lost his police pension, which doesn't explain how he managed to get all the way to Europe on a hunch, but whatever. And then John McClane says that we're going to play a game, and he pulls out a fucking rocket launcher.
Sure, you've seen these before. It's a Chinese rocket launcher. We're gonna play a little game.
Because the scene continues with John McClane ordering Gruber to clear out the bar. He then describes the item he pulls out of his pocket as a, and I quote, Chinese rocket launcher, which according to the sources I tracked down talking about it, because this is a deleted scene and there's not much known about it, was custom made for the movie, so they don't really know what it's based on. Again, people in the comments will probably know exactly what kind of rocket launcher served as the basis for this prop, but supposedly it was custom made for the movie, specifically so that you couldn't tell from which end the rocket would fire.
But you've removed the directional arrows in the sights. How do we know which way it will fire?
That's what makes a game so exciting.
Which John McClane explains to Simon Gruber. He then says we're going to play a game of Russian roulette with a rocket launcher.
And Karl, you know what? I bet the people in the comments can't identify what
Oh, don't do that,
gun
Lucas,
it is.
because we're talking about guns. If you are talking about anything related to guns or firearms on the internet, and you say something that is wrong, which I'm being very careful in how I describe this, because all I could find when researching it is that it was custom made for the movie, and they specifically removed all markings and stuff from it so that it just looked the same from both ends, which is what John McClane explains to Simon Gruber. He explains that, hey, even I don't know from which end this is going to fire.
A plane crashes on the Texas-Oklahoma border. Where do they bury the survivors?
You don't bury the living.
Very good. You can turn that whenever you want.
I am putting the gauntlet down. I don't think people are going to be able to do it, Karl.
I think it's because the thing is, it's really small. Because when I think rocket launcher, I think like a shoulder-mounted thing, like an RPG or something like that, or is it the AT-4 or something? Like you're getting Call of Duty, like the big ones that take up your entire fucking screen. This is what it looks like in the movie, which to me looks like more like a mortar or something.
Okay. You're sending me the picture.
I'll send you the picture now, yeah. Like, that looks like a toy.
McClane says a cowboy rides 18 hours into town and 18 hours back, all on Sunday. How does he do that?
The horse is called Sunday.
Very good.
Yeah, that's like handheld.
Yeah, because like that to me doesn't scream rocket launcher. That looks like a grenade launcher or a flare gun or something. But again, I don't know much about guns, and I know less about fake, made-up Chinese rocket launcher guns from a movie deleted scene that never saw the light of day.
That looks like a fucking double-ended lightsaber without the blades coming out.
It looks like the kind of thing you'd ship a dildo in. Do you know, for like discreet packaging?
Make up your mind and press the trigger, Simon.
Like, it's already brutal enough as it is. A rocket launcher's gonna definitely do the job.
Yeah, and he forces Simon Gruber to pull the trigger, which causes a rocket to fire directly into his chest and launch him across the room, at which point he explodes.
You sure?
Oh, yes.
Like, why even take the risk that you might get hit by a rocket launcher if you were just going to shoot him?
Because that's not fun and charming for a movie, right?
Well, the thing is, not fun and charming at all, because the filmmakers, when they filmed this scene, really didn't like the way it made John McClane come across, because it made him appear vengeful, which is weird considering the film is called Die Hard with a Vengeance. But the vengeance is from Simon Gruber, not John McClane, who up until that point in the series had only ever killed in self-defense, and he wasn't a character who deliberately went out of his way to hurt, antagonize, or terrorize people. Like, it's completely out of character for John McClane to go all the way to another country and shoot someone who's unarmed, even though he's a police officer, and that's so realistic, right?
I don't know, Karl. I saw the way he threw that dummy off the Nakatomi Plaza.
But they didn't like the way it portrayed John McClane. Like, it's not really in keeping with his character as we've established it so far, for him to force someone to commit suicide via rocket launcher.
Yeah,
that seems a bit extreme. So they cut that.
Killing someone point blank with a rocket launcher might be considered extreme, yes.
So they also they felt the scene was a bit anticlimactic.
There was some amount of discussion amongst, I remember, the studio executives and the producers, John McTiernan, that this sequence made John McClane look too cruel.
I can see, if that's the way the film ended, I can see that being one of those like scenes that people would endlessly break down about how fucking stupid it is, right? It would become one of those like legendary like action movie things that people hold up as like, these movies just don't know how guns work.
It would have made for a great Mythbusters episode though, like, can a bulletproof vest save you from a rocket launcher?
My concept was that McClane's wearing a flak jacket there, and Simon Gruber is not. McClane really knows that he can't die.
You know what, Lucas? I'd want to watch that Mythbusters episode. I'd want to know, because like, you do hear stories about stuff like that happening, right? I know Mythbusters, for example, covered the whole, can you lie on a grenade and stop the blast?
There's no doubt about it. This movie myth is looking confirmed.
Well, there you go.
There you go. I'm pretty amazed. I wasn't expecting to see such a definitive result.
And also, I think they did that to like prove. I think they proved as well that like that would potentially save other people's lives as well, right?
So I think the myth is you can save other people's lives by doing it, because the myth they were trying to bust is, well, surely a grenade is not going to be stopped by the human body. Surely just the shrapnel's going to go out and hit someone anyway, and they prove that. Not only would the person be able to potentially protect other people's lives, but if they were wearing a shit ton of like ballistic protection, they could potentially survive themselves if they got real goddamn lucky.
Yeah, and then there's another one that was like surprising when I first watched it, where it's like diving under the water could potentially save you from a deadly explosion.
Like, that one blew my mind, where they revealed that 6 foot of water will stop like every kind of gun imaginable. That blew my fucking mind. We're like, 6 foot of water is enough to protect you from near enough every form of like firearm in existence, up to and including
and as
like
well a lot of the higher caliber guns are the ones that go less far into the water, because they just have so much force that they obliterate on impact with the water surface.
That was something that really surprised me, and presumably like experts or people who like really like guns who were presumably watching this were getting really mad because they've seen a British person talk about like firearms and stuff. But it did surprise me. Like I said, the lower caliber bullets travel further through the water than like, I think they shot like a 50 cal and it just exploded.
Yeah, I think so, right?
3, 2, 1.
And that made me realise, like, okay, why don't we see like SWAT officers walking around wearing like kiddie pools around the chest? Do you like those big sumo suits you get? Get those full of water.
Oh god, it reminds me of the one that you did where it's like, or can you make a car bulletproof by putting phone books on them? And like they had to put so many phone books on it that the car could like not move anymore.
Well, that's another one as well. Like speaking of like just movies getting stuff wrong. Cars are like the most non-bulletproof things ever, right? And it's like a bullet will pass not only through a car door, it will pass through the entire fucking car lengthways.
Yeah, it's like thin sheets of metal. They're not going to protect you from much, to be honest.
And when you like watch any like action movie or TV show where people get in a gunfight and they'll kick over like a fucking one of those like desks you would get in like a conference hall that folds up, and that somehow protects them. But you know, before we move on to any sort of discussion like that, Lucas, we do have to mention that it's said for Die Hard 3 they didn't like this ending. They felt it made John McClane seem like an arsehole. It also was kind of anticlimactic, so they reshot the ending and instead had Simon Gruber die not in a forced suicide attempt at gunpoint via rocket launcher, but John McClane shoots down the helicopter he's inside of.
Say hello to your brother.
Get out of here!
And remember, Lucas, they changed the ending to the film because they thought that the original ending made John McClane seem like a psychopath. The new ending they shot has John McClane shoot down Simon Gruber's helicopter, at which point he begins burning to death. And when a character asks, should we put that flame out? I think it's John McClane or Sam Jackson, I forget which, just says, nah, let him cook.
Looks like you got his attention.
Yeah, it looks like it. Think we should call a fire truck? Ah, fuck them, let them cook.
Which certainly doesn't make them sound like a psychopath at all.
And does he happen to shoot that helicopter down with a motorcycle?
He doesn't know.
No.
I think he shoots that down with a rocket launcher. Or maybe he gets caught in like wires. It's been a while since I watched Die Hard 3. I'll put the clip in and then we'll know for sure. So finally, Lucas, we mentioned at the start of this video we have a sister channel called Wiki Weekend. So would you like to describe the concepts of that channel for the folks at home?
Well, with each video of Wiki Weekends, we just pick a topic and find some wiki article so that we can basically use that as a jumping off point for a conversation on that topic.
Yeah, think about it as like, a 30 to 40 minute long podcast about a given subject where the wiki is used as a framework for a conversation about that topic.
And a lot of the time, if it's stuff that we know about, we generally don't get that much into the wiki article. It's just an excuse to have, as you say, a mini podcast on that subject.
Although sometimes we do learn interesting information about the given topic, character, or subject. And in regards to Die Hard, we talked about that, just before the Christmas period, and we covered the wiki on that, and we found some interesting stuff in there, such as the fact like it was based on a book. I didn't really know that. I didn't know Die Hard was a book.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it both gives us new interesting facts that neither of us might have known, but it also gives us something there to refer to nice and quickly if we happen to not know certain things about the subject.
And speaking of not knowing a lot, we certainly don't know a lot about some guns, but we certainly consume a lot of media in which guns are present. And in that vein, Lucas, I think last week we talked about fictional firearms. Now let's talk about real ones. Do you have a movie or a TV show you like to single out that has some guns in it or gunfights? Because I've got to mention John Wick. I think the latest John Wick movie has a scene that's straight up just, okay, this is Hotline Miami for 5 minutes. And they have a scene where John Wick gets the Dragon's Breath shotgun shells. The ones that just fire out like a burst of fire. It's like,
oh my
that's
God.
The meanest thing ever. That can't...
Dear
and I looked at it and
Christ.
went, they can't be a real thing. Because I saw that and went, I've seen them in Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
That must be made up, right? That can't be a real thing that they're allowed to sell. Right?
Yeah.
That seems like the most against the Geneva Convention shit ever, right? But that scene is badass as fuck. And it's just like, you feel so bad. It's like, even though you know it's just an extra getting shot by it, you just think of like, most of those people, they take 2 shots to go down. And remember, the second shot is a headshot of fire. And it's like, what is this?
There's one film that I'll, request that you put clips in of, and it is, of course, the action scene at the end of Hot Fuzz.
Oh, yeah. Where they do all the bullshit in that.
They do, and just when he, rocks up into town, riding on a horse with, the shotguns on his back and everything. It's a very cool, iconic moment, and I will single out the thing that always gets me is when he shotguns someone in the toes.
Is that one where he throws it?
Yeah.
Which isn't a thing. I remember Mythbusters also did this, and I've seen a bunch of videos and articles talking about it. Of guns don't go off when you drop them. If they did, they wouldn't be sold. Because how the fuck would you sell a gun to a military if you could drop it and it'd go off at random? That's not how they work.
I'm sure that that's probably something that might have happened with really old guns.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I think it was in World War II. It was the Sten, which is also known as the plumber's nightmare. I wrote an article on this a few years ago, which was so bad and so poorly made that it would occasionally go off if you put it down wrong.
Jesus.
And again,
talk about Russian roulette.
You don't want that to happen when you put a gun down.
No, you really don't. And that's why, guns have all these safety features on them, is because you don't want to be able to just drop it by accident and have someone's fucking foot shotgunned off.
I'd better just put it down.
No offense, Mom, but that was pretty cool.
Another movie that I would like to shout for its action, not necessarily just gun action, but just action in general, is of course The Raid.
Oh man, the thing about The Raid is it has the only live action spawn kill I can think of in a movie, where there's the dude who drops down into the room and 1 second later gets tackled out of a window. He gets spawn killed in real life. He drops it and he's I don't even think his feet touch the floor before he's being tackled out the window. It's he got spawn trapped. It's like me when I'm playing fucking Call of Duty and it's just, you get shipment. It's oh fuck no.
Oh god, yeah.
Also
Classic
Call of Duty,
shipment.
where the fuck's the raid level? They've got a crossover with fucking Squid Game, and they haven't put the Squid Game MC Escher colour corridor bit in as one of the levels.
What? That'd be such a fun, different type of arena to fight in.
No, they put a Squid Game crossover and didn't put that in. And you mentioned Hot Fuzz earlier, and something I will single out about Hot Fuzz is the fact that it has realistically loud as fuck sounding gunshots. Because one of the reasons that Hot Fuzz got made is that Edgar Wright wanted to simultaneously pay homage to and deconstruct the action movie genre. And one of the things that he was keen to do is accurately portray how fucking loud it is when you fire a gun.
I will say though, I just wish every single streaming service and whatnot had some kind of night viewing option, because I swear to God, nearly everything I watch nowadays is the talking is like this, and then I turn the volume up and an action scene happens, and oh dear God.
Yeah, that's not great. And I guess we talked about that. We have to give another shout out to it's the film, I think it's Collateral with Tom Cruise, which has what is considered to be the most realistic hip draw in a movie, and Tom Cruise, being Tom Cruise, learned how to do it for real. And it's this is a thing they actually teach people how to do if they work in close protection or special forces and stuff, where you draw the gun and within half a second you've already put the person down. And it also has really great sound design because the gunshots are so fucking loud.
What else you got for me? Huh?
And a final shout out I want to give is to the film Wanted, where it's not realistic at all because that's the film where they curve bullets.
It's fucking cool though.
But the one thing I will give a shout out to is where they show you the first time that who is it who plays the dipshit main character? It's James McAvoy. Where they show James McAvoy get like his super slow motion wanted powers, and he's got to shoot the wings off a fly. I always enjoyed the scene after that where they show it in real time, and it's just James McAvoy wildly shooting at a trash can. So like that, you see it in slow motion, it looks really fucking cool. Then you see what it actually looks like, and go, ah!